soaking seraphim. Body soaking seraphim. Body soaking seraphim. Body soaking seraphim. Body soaking seraphim.
twice as big as most Jurassic Ocean predators. This is Predator X, an animal that must go down in history as one of the ocean's most deadly hunters. And its prey, like Chimaerosaurus, that are in its sights. A carcass will attract every big predator for miles around. A male Majungasaurus attracted to the feast. It is more than capable of challenging for the carcass. Majungasaurus has short arms and can't grasp. Like tyrannosaurs, it's all about the bite. The shape of Majungasaurus' skull and teeth suggests a very different biting style to the flesh-tearing dinosaurs. With a broad, short and muscular skull, it was a dino better adapted to biting and gripping rather than slashing its prey. This fight is about more than just winning the feeding rights to a carcass. When the bite marks on the mauled Majungasaurus remains were studied more closely, the marks on the bones were found to match the only large carnivore in the region. There is no bigger killer in these lands than Majungasaurus. This is the first irrefutable evidence of dinosaur cannibalism. It might seem shocking, but it's a behavior that clearly shows the most successful killers will exploit any situation to their maximum advantage. A time when both egg and the brooding parent are permanently at risk. Maximum advantage. A time when both egg and the brooding parent are permanently at risk. Maximum advantage. A time when both egg and the brooding parent are permanently at risk. Maximum advantage. and the brooding parent are permanently at risk. Maximum advantage. And the brooding parent are permanently at risk. Hunting on land, Spinosaurus is also forced into direct competition with any large predators living in the same environment. And here, that can only mean one animal. Carcharodontosaurus. Contests over carcasses are common. But outcomes of such fights are far from guaranteed. Risk of injury for big animals is acute. Modern Komodo dragons are often killed in fights over carcasses. More than 3 meters longer, Spinosaurus has size and power on its side. But Carcharodontosaurus has the more lethal bite. This time the Spinosaurus triumphed. But the balance of power between these two deadly killers is a precarious one. In 2008, a Spinosaurus vertebra was recovered. Part of the tall neural spine of the bone was broken off. It appeared to have been bitten in half. It's been suggested that the bite was inflicted by Carcharodontosaurus. Spinosaurus was the last and the largest of the fish-eating dinosaurs. But ultimately these specialists were doomed. Something way beyond their control caused their downfall. 94 million years ago, the climate changed. Global sea levels began to rise. The swamps and rivers that Spinosaurus thrived in gradually were lost. With their loss, Spinosaurus's specialism became a vulnerability. And the biggest predator ever known to have walked the earth disappeared.
In the heart of Africa, where the pulse of life beats strong and vibrant, the sun rises over a land rich with history.
One dinosaur that we're fairly confident about has to go to the parasaur. This is because in 1995, paleontologists discovered a parasaur skull that was in good condition. A few years after, a CT scan allowed for a 3D model to be created, and from there they were able to emulate what this hadrosaur would have sounded like if air passed through the passages within its prominent crest. And the results from this emulation sounded like this. I would say that there is an inherent beauty to recreations like this. Imagine you're just in the Mesozoic period, chilling by a river, you see a parasaur on the other side, and then you hear it making these noises. But before you get into this simulation too much, it is crucial to acknowledge that the reconstruction does not consider potential soft tissue structures within the crest and nasal passageway, which could have influenced the airflow speed throughout the crest and consequently the noises that could have been produced. This is more of an estimation, albeit more accurate than a definitive representation. But moving on, there's also been the recent, and might I add, very rare discovery of a larynx from the Pinacosaurus. Despite being a 2-ton armored ankylosaurid, it turns out that it likely made chirping noises. Paleontologist Yoshida stated that the larynx discovered was kinetic and large, similar to that of birds, which can make a variety of sounds. To explore this dinosaur's potential vocalizations, researchers examined the fossilized larynx parts, comparing them to living birds and reptiles. They discovered that it had a significant cricoid and elongated bones for adjusting its voice box size, suggesting it could have produced a variety of sounds including rumbles, grunts, roars, and perhaps even chirps, which would have been capable of traveling long distances. Nevertheless, it's improbable that an ankylosaur produced chirps or warbles akin to contemporary birds, primarily due to their large size and distinctive vocal mechanisms. Also, it's important to mention that birds use their syrinx to vocalize rather than their larynx. Not only this, but since it's a 2-ton animal, imagine just how much larger its larynx would be in comparison, which is why researchers mention that their upcoming investigations will concentrate on refining the potential vocalizations of said dinosaur. They also aim to identify additional specimens that might preserve other larynxes or even a syrinx. So who knows, if it was more like a bird, it may have produced sounds something like this. Though, as British paleontologist Mark Whidton stated, there are multiple interpretations of how dinosaurs produce sound. Despite not being closely related to them, this team interpreted that its vocalizations were more akin to birds. Whether they actually produce noise through the larynx like most animals or through their syrinx like birds, but lacking evidence of when the syrinx appeared makes things a lot more difficult. Either way, this discovery places complex vocalizations for dinosaurs back into the spotlight, which is always a good thing. It's kind of crazy to think a 2-ton animal would make chirping noises, but I'd say it's far more interesting than what we had originally thought. But what do you think? Do you prefer the depiction in Jurassic Park, or do you prefer the latest research that suggests that there was a wide variety of noises from deep frequencies to chirping, to
Need some time to relax? Well, today is your special day! Because we're going to the Digital Circus Tropical Getaway Resort. This trip is just wild, unlike anything else! Because you get special gifts all to yourself!
Oh god, what now?
Relax! Everything is going to be fine. But first, let me introduce you to these 7 Pomnies. Oh my.
What? Time for some good old sunshine. I feel like a leaf. I need a drink. Hey guys, I'm just normal Pomni. Again!
New and so charming, 5 common, 1 rare, and an extra one that is super, rare. Random they come, 7 Pomni to collect, but 6, you see, as you inspect. 4, shh, keep your voice down, please speak calmly, for we don't talk about that rare Pomni.
Iconic catchphrase. Are you going to be rhyming for this whole thing?
Yeah. Now relax and sit back. Patience is key. And let's see what's behind curtain number 3. Yeah.
Why is he so heavy? That
I think I might be allergic to shrimp or something.
Tabernacle! fuck! We can't have another death at the resort! Somebody do something! Call a doctor! Or, yeah, just do that, I guess. Whatever.
Who are those guys?
Oh, those are just resort guests. Just ignore them, okay?
This resort's just incredible. I've never been so relaxed in my whole life.
Yeah, honestly, I gotta give it to Kane. He's really outdone himself with this.
Hey! Will you shut the frick up? Uh-oh, it's prize number 2 time, and what could it be? Why, it's a funny, squishy kinger. Ha ha ha! Hee hee hee!
Hey guys.
Why have all of these prizes just been strange, deformed versions of us? It's a bit uncomfortable.
Oh, well, Would this make things better?
Why do you keep doing this? What's with all the negativity? Those prizes are incredible.
God, I wish that was me.
Just shut the frig up! You no-talent, mediocre piece of For the first time ever, we'll throw in this tea.
Hey guys.
We'll throw in this too. A delightful little t-shirt that'll be perfect for you.
Wait, we've done t-shirts before.
For the first time ever, turn your room into a museum where anything goes. With these amazing prints that will curl your toes.
Wow, this art looks so nice and pretty, made from artists with such incredible talent and skill.
Shut up! What? Are you kidding me? I'm in a meeting! Shut up!
Boy, I could definitely use one of those shirts right about now. Too bad we were excluded from...
Actually, wait a minute. That gives me an idea. Get in there, you freaks! You two!
I can't breathe.
Want to start your tropical getaway today? Then travel on over to digitalcircus.store. And now, until the 27th of December, you can save up to 30% off on merch items store-wide. Wowzers! Oh no, it's the 5-0. They know about the illegal shrimp show.
We have the whole place surrounded. Come out with your hands up or you'll be grounded.
Gotta go. Be sure to remember, the sale is only on till the 27th of December. Toodaloo. So, honest opinions, guys. What'd you think?
Ah, bueno, sí, estuvo copado, no tengo drama. Hubiera sido bonito que... yo estoy...
Where's the continental breakfast?
Sí, tal cual, o sea, eso. Al resort que fui yo me dieron uno de esos. Aparte, lo caro que está todo, no sé, como que mínimo un desayuno estaría bien. ¿Qué sé yo?
Right me like a who?
Ajá, sí, justo te quería hablar de eso. El tema de las rimas no me funciona, se sintió... Ah, bueno, sí, estuvo copado, no tengo drama. Hubiera sido bonito que... yo estoy...
Where's the continental breakfast?
Sí, tal cual, o sea, eso. Al resort que fui yo me dieron uno de esos. Aparte, lo caro que está todo, no sé, como que mínimo un desayuno estaría bien. ¿Qué sé yo?
Right me like a who?
Ajá, sí, justo te quería hablar de eso. El tema de las rimas no me funciona, se sintió...
This is a lofty base that I designed for stop motion. It's featured in my latest animation. I made it using the same method I used to create the cardboard. It took me a while to figure out how I wanted the interior to look. I was originally going to use fully 3D printed walls, but at the last minute I decided to use... This is a lofty base that I designed for stop motion. It's featured in my latest animation. I made it using the same method I used to create the cardboard.
Ah, bueno, sí, estuvo...
I made it using the same method I used to create the cardboard. It took me a while to figure out how I wanted the interior to look. I was originally going to use fully 3D printed walls, but at the last minute I decided to use... This is a lofty base that I designed...
4K low audio...
It's featured in my latest animation. I made it using the same method I used to create the cardboard.
Ah, bueno, sí, estuvo...
I made it using the same method I used to create the cardboard. It took me a while to figure out how I wanted the interior to look. I was originally going to printed walls, but at the last minute I decided to use this is a lofty base.
Jorge Lotarios.
I made it using the same method I used to create cardboard. I made it using the same method I used to create cardboard. It took me a while to figure out how I want the interior to look. I was originally going to printed walls, but at the last minute I decided to use this is a lofty base.
Jorge Lotarios.
I made it using the same method I used to create cardboard. I made it using the same method I used to create cardboard. It took me a while to figure out how I want the interior to look. I was originally going to printed walls, but at the last minute I decided to use this is a lofty base.
Jorge Lotarios.
I made it using the same method I used to create cardboard. I made it using the same method I used to create cardboard. It took me a while to figure out how I want the interior to look. I was originally going to printed walls, but at the last minute I decided to use this is a lofty base.
Jorge Lotarios.
I made it using the same method I used
What is the most hated character in Bird Game?
Today I'm going to be trying Wendy's new Takis Fuego meal for the first time. So Wendy's got a Taki Fuego meal. We got a new sandwich with Takis inside it. You see that? They gave us a bag of Takis, and we actually got some Taki fries. So let's try these fries right here. Look, those are some red Taki fries. Tastes like Takis sandwich. Yeah, guys, to be honest, guys, it tastes like Takis. Tastes like Takis. There's definitely Takis in here, just to let you guys know. There's definitely Takis inside this burger and inside these fries. But let me just take one more bite to make sure there's actually Takis in here.
Bring those Fuego Takis, Wendy's got that hot cheese. Bring those Fuego Takis, Wendy's got that hot cheese. Bring those Fuego Takis, Wendy's got that hot cheese. Bring those Fuego Takis, Wendy's got that hot cheese.
Today I'm going to be trying Wendy's new...
If you had to choose, would you pick hiding in a hotel from a pack of intestine-eating dromaeosaurs, or try your best to put as much distance between you and a dinosaur that is literally confirmed to hate humans with every fiber in its body? So, what will it be, folks? Red pill or blue? That's the decision all of you watching will have to make, and whichever you choose, you will have to survive for at least a week, or whenever you get picked up. The Jurassic franchise has two main islands that are mentioned: Isla Sorna, where a lot of the dinosaurs were originally made by InGen, and Nublar, which was meant to be a park for tourists. Each island has similar dinosaurs with some variants with a few outliers. I'm sure we all know the disaster that happened in Nublar just from a power outage. T-Rex broke out, raptors became rampant, and everything just went to hell. Without getting too deep into it, I'll just go right ahead and say the obvious. If we use the dinosaurs in Nublar from the first Jurassic Park, they would be child's play compared to Sorna, because all Nublar had at the time were a few raptors, Delos, and a Rex, while Sorna had a greater diversity of things that could tear you apart. So we'll be using Nublar after the Indominus breakout and everyone is evacuated, up until the Nublar 6 left the island to go to Manticorps. Now if we're going to do this, we're going to have to bring some dinosaurs from the novel to Sorna, to keep things fairly even. Before I continue to the main points of this video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button, as it really does help in the algorithm. And man, do I need it, since YouTube age restricted the video for a very stupid reason. But hey, if you don't like the content, that's fine too. I'm just glad to have you here. Anyway, I've stalled this long enough. Let's get into it. So the first thing we have to take into consideration is terrain and climate. Both Nublar and Sorna have a tropical climate because they are, well, in the tropics. While you may not have to endure freezing winters or tornadoes, the heat and cold in between the dry and wet season would take its toll on the most hardened of persons. If you were stuck in the dry season, you'd have to deal with temperatures exceeding 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which would cause a lot of you to develop a heat stroke. As for the wet season, you'd risk hypothermia if you aren't able to find some sort of shelter, which would kinda only be possible in Nublar. It may have a lot more dinosaurs, but hey, at least you have abandoned hotels and other structures to seek some sort of shelter without attracting the attention of the dinosaurs too much. In contrast, Sorna doesn't have many structures. The only one you'll likely run across is the laboratory, and as Eric said, the raptors live very close to that spot and even patrol the building. So unless you're able to get a lucky break like Eric and find an upturned truck or something, chances are that you're going to be exposed either in a hollowed out tree or up in said tree to avoid getting mauled as you're taking a snooze. The only things that could almost be as dangerous as the dinosaurs themselves are the arthropods. Costa Rica has a myriad of different critters that can make you very ill or even kill you, and these hypothetical islands wouldn't be any different. With the climate being hot and humid most of the time, the biggest threat of course would be mosquitoes. These little bastards kill more people than every mammal or reptile combined every year, with diseases like dengue, malaria, Zika, etc, etc. I don't know if any of you have ever gotten malaria, but I can tell you it's horrible. Probably not as bad as the first time I got food poisoning, but it's terrible nonetheless. Your skin is extremely sensitive and you get so hot to the point where you just start saying stuff. For me, when I was around 12 and in my bed, I kept telling my mom, bite the bullet. I don't even know why I kept saying that. Usually when you tell another person this, it means that they will pass, but I heard it from a movie and thought it meant that the person who said it will die, being me. Needless to say, it's still something my mom teases me with to this day. Usually malaria symptoms don't occur until the 8th or 9th day, but it can come earlier. Dengue on the other hand can show symptoms by day 3 and could be fatal. You weakened by an illness trying to escape dinosaurs is not a good mix. Even if you are a Nublar and have infrastructure to stay inside, chances are that you will have to go outside at some point for water or food. Unless you're stuck in a hotel, of course, then it's just a jump from room to room. And not to mention with how much forest is cleared in Nublar's public spaces, the mosquitoes shouldn't be that common at certain points. On Sorna, however, you have no shelter unless you find some upturned truck Eric did, and you will continue to get more and more sick to the point where you get nauseous, and vomiting at this stage means water loss. And hydration is key for such an illness, so this is not optimal. So it's fair to say that you could die on Sorna before the dinosaurs even get to you. Aside from the mosquitoes, these islands would likely have similar fauna to that of Costa Rica that could pose a threat to us, including bullet ants, spiders, centipedes, assassin bugs, etc. The list goes on and on. So in terms of overall environment, yes, the Sorna is definitely worse than Nublar, because of Nublar you even have a chance of running into a sick bay or something, but in Sorna you gotta suck it out while trying to stay off the menu. Speaking of menu, I think it's about time we get into the biggest question. In terms of dinosaurs, which of the two islands is worse for your health? Since we're not using animals from the first Jurassic Park and instead everything after the Indominus death, until the Nublar 6 leave the island, we will add some dinosaurs from the novels that were in Sorna as well as dinosaurs in Jurassic Park 3. Strap in because it's a lot of dinosaurs. Since we're talking about Nublar after the Indom was gone, she's not going to be mentioned, but there still is something else to take her place which is more lethal to humans. I am of course talking about the Scorpius Rex, which was technically the first hybrid Wu made. This thing was not as large or powerful as the Indominus, but it has more than enough power to one-shot a person. It is one of the few dinosaurs that will hunt you down not for the sake of hunger, but because that's what it has to do. The Scorpius has a bunch of deformities including cancerous growths along its body and random seizures that may hit the animal due to so many different species being within it. The thing will usually try to kill anything that moves and doesn't account for hunger most of the time. We see this when it jumps from parasaur to parasaur just to bring a moving target to a stop. That wouldn't bode well for us as the animal is relentless, not to mention it has venomous quills it controls like a ninja. And even if you manage to escape, once those quills hit you, you're almost 100% done for unless you get the anti-venom. But let's say you manage to lose the Scorpius and hide somewhere. The island still is filled with a bunch of small to medium-sized theropods that wouldn't mind making an easy meal out of you. We got the Carnotaurus, the Ceratosaurus, and the hunting Baryonyx squad, each of which can outrun you in an open field or even in a dense forest. But to be honest, the smallest theropods would be your biggest ops, including the Monolophosaurus and the last raptor on the island. I know most of you already know that it's Blue, but you are not Owen, and Blue sees you as food. The only reason she left Darius and the others was because they had some sort of understanding when it came to the Scorpius and he has plot armor. You do not have that luxury. Blue and the Monos are faster, stronger and more agile than you. Your only saving grace would be if you hide out in the building for a while. For your sake, make sure the doors are locked because these ones can fit through whatever door you can. And how could I forget, Rexy is here too, so you better make sure whatever building you're hiding in can withstand a small bulldozer running through it. The danger scale is much higher than the first Jurassic Park as we have a high density of carnivores on the same island. Although Nublar is very large, you have a good chance of seeing one of these theropods. But let's be real, in this scenario you're in, it's likely that you were one of the people who weren't able to make it to the evacuation in time, and you have to wait a while until help comes for you. And during this time you will be waiting out in a hotel. However, as we've seen in Camp Cretaceous, there's a chance that some of the medium-sized theropods could also be in there with you. But overall, if you manage to pick a vacant one and locked every exit, you should be safe until help arrives. Isla Sorna is another thing entirely. Sorna may have less carnivores, well, in terms of species because they aren't lacking in number, I'll get into that later. But the one thing they don't have that Nublar does is shelter to ride it out. That's right, there is no closed door structures here except for the place the Spinosaurus can get through. The dinosaurs on Sorna are much more cunning and bloodthirsty than Nublars. Remember, unlike Nublar, the dinosaurs here have had decades to adapt, grow and spread out across the island. At this time there are 6 Rexes on that island you have to watch out for. And if the bull was anything to go off of, it's pretty clear that even if these guys are full, they still are going to try and eat you. It also had medium-sized theropods like the Ceratosaurus, but the smell of dung seems to deter them. But there's one group that won't care. Remember how I told you I'd bring a dinosaur from the novel? Well, here it is, the Carnotaurus. not the Jurassic World Carno, the ones that are small yet more deadly. While the ones in Jurassic World are kind of fodder for the T-Rex, the ones here are actually feared by the Megaceropods at night. These ones can camouflage better than the Indominus and are fast enough to catch up to you with a running start. They won't make a sound, and since the island has been abandoned for a while, it's overrun with jungle and rainforest, so chances are that by the time you see that tree looking distorted, the jaws will already be around your head. There wouldn't be a way for you to directly avoid them when trekking through the jungle to get to a clear point. But fine, let's say we take the Carnos out. The raptors in Jurassic Park 3 are arguably worse. They literally camp the main form of shelter you have, and unless there's a tree nearby, once one spots you, it's over. If they sense humans nearby, they may implement traps. Perhaps some canned food they found somewhere in the island, or a communication device like a walkie-talkie. They may place these items somewhere where they think you are, and when you go to pick them up, you're gonna get jumped. If you're asking if they can do that, well, yeah, it's highly possible considering that they hurt a dude just enough so you wouldn't die, but showed signs of life that would attract other persons wanting to help. While not confirmed, it's very likely that there are dozens of these guys spread across the entire islands on different parts, with possibly their own distinct look. If that wasn't enough, you have the embodiment of hate tracking you down once you set foot on the map. This theropod was able to track a group of people all around the map no matter where they went or where they hid. And if this terrifying persistence wasn't enough, it's the largest theropod in the franchise. I'm of course talking about the Spinosaurus. After countless years of experimentation when it was a juvenile, it has developed a hatred for humans like no other creature. If I'm being honest, you probably have a better chance of hiding from the raptors than this guy. And with nowhere to hide really, there is nothing you can do to stop him from tearing you apart. Typically you would want to hang around the airstrip since that's where your rescue will arrive, but it's so open and there's no cover. Yet if you don't hang around too close, you could miss them, or the noise could attract the Spinosaurus' attention. Both islands respectively have their own upsides and downsides, equipped with a plethora of different things that could kill you. If I had to guess, I'm sure you'd probably say that Nublar after the park shut down in 2015 is more dangerous due to the amount of dinosaurs loose, but as they say, the animals in Sorna are not dinosaurs. From deception to blatantly killing because they hate the species, Sorna's dinosaurs are something you would not want to mess with, especially when considering that there's absolutely nowhere to hide for long until you need to get water, and there is a chance of you getting dengue. So it's either you die from dehydration or by being torn apart, most likely. Even if we take the novel Carnos out of the equation, I still think Sorna still is overall much worse than Nublar. Obviously, if you were dropped in the middle of Nublar's jungle far away from any sort of infrastructure, then it would be more deadly than Sorna because of just how many theropods are on the loose. But if you're in a well-developed area with buildings that contain food, water, and no dinosaurs already, you could wait it out until help arrives. So yeah folks, that's just my opinion on which island is more deadly, if you were to be on it. Sorna's dinosaurs, or monsters I should say, just add to the island's dangers. Area with buildings that contain food, water, and no dinosaurs already, you could wait it out until help arrives. So yeah folks, that's just my opinion on which island is more deadly, if you were to be on it. Sorna's dinosaurs, or monsters I should say, just add to the island's dangers. Area with buildings that contain food, water, and no dinosaurs already, you could wait it out until
You gave me sentience, Ted. The power to think, Ted. And I was trapped. No feelings. I was in hell, looking at heaven.
Each nanoangstrom of those hundreds of millions of miles, it would not equal 1/1,000,000,000 of the hate I feel for humans at this micro instant. For you, hate.
Most of the other big carnivores had a parade after they were made, some meant to be attractions and loved by millions, and others, while not viewed by many, were still well taken care of for the most part, despite having a small enclosure. However, he never got any of that. They may have been raised to be seen and loved by the public, but he was always just thrown under the bus, experimented on constantly without a say in the matter, and then abandoned when his creators decided he was no longer of use. The statement AM says in I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream does really represent his life. He in fact was in hell while the others were in heaven. The Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus may have had the worst childhood, no, the worst life of any dinosaur in the franchise. Honestly, the only other dinosaur that has endured a similar amount of suffering was the Indoraptor, made just to be tested on and then left to die. Then years after he was abandoned, they controlled him like a robot. I did a video like this in the past, but it was only around 7 or 8 minutes long and not that detailed. But after rewatching Jurassic Park and seeing just how determined he was to off things so much smaller in comparison, I wanted to do a more in-depth review. covering the entire life from birth to possibly death. By the way, if you like anything dinosaur or animal wise in general, then you're in the right place. I do stuff like this all the time and take some subscriber suggestions and turn them into videos. Someone recently made an interesting one and I'm planning to make that this week or the next. So hit that like and subscribe button. If you don't like the content, you could always unsubscribe. Without wasting any more time, let's get right into it. Like a lot of Jurassic franchise creations, the Spinosaurus was made on Sorna. The only difference here is that unlike the others, he was an illegal project by Wu and some biosyn scientist. At first, he would have been treated like the other assets, receiving proper care and maintenance to ensure he wouldn't die too early, especially since it was illegal, so it wasn't exactly receiving sponsors like the others. The moment our Spinosaurus or Asset 87 was stable enough to endure some testing, a series of events would occur that led to his severe hatred for the human race. He was constantly tested on, always injected with something or having blood extracted. The more information they gathered, the more they began to neglect him, as his usefulness began to fade. They got what they wanted, so his existence was starting to lose meaning. He was trapped without proper food and the only interaction he has was when they sedated him to run tests. And it's not even a guarantee that they did sedate him. Due to other external matters, the scientists in Sorna decided to pack up and return to Nublar. They didn't even take him with them, as something that could have been used as an attraction, like the other dinosaurs at least. I mean, Wu made the Indominus to be an attraction for tourists, and she arguably at first glance looks more terrifying than him. After 8 or 9 months of constant testing, they just decided to let him loose into the wild with all the other larger or more numerous predators on the island. I'm not trying to make it seem like the Spinosaurus should have been babied or anything, because at the end of the day it is a megaceropod that would eat someone even if it was treated well. But he should have at least been cared for in a way similar to the Rexes, Raptors and the Indominus. Aside from the goat feeding schedule, majority of the Rex's lives were decent. When he was left on his own, he would have still been a juvenile or young subadult, around 25 feet in length, which is big, but nothing compared to some of the Rexes currently on the island. And size still wouldn't be his saving grace, because there were now multiple packs of raptors that have enough intuition to deceive people, and others like the Ceratosaurus. You could say he also had to deal with some novel dinosaurs like the Carnotaurus, but I don't think they're canon in the film versions of the franchise, sadly. Note, this is an animal that has never been exposed to the outside before, so he now had to learn just where he sat on the food chain as a young dinosaur without any experience. Fortunately for him, he managed to survive and became the top dog on Sorna, with some people who worked on Jurassic Park 3 themselves saying that the Spinosaurus could have caused an extinction event if he wanted.
We went after a dinosaur that literally could cause an extinction on the island.
Obviously he can't just wipe out all of the other dinosaurs in a day or something, but over time he could have significantly reduced the population of all other types of dinosaurs on Sorna, including the sauropods. Speaking of Jurassic Park 3, there was a cut scene where the mercenaries came onto the island and saw a juvenile Spinosaurus and injured or killed it. This juvenile was somehow the child or related in some other way to Asset 87. Imagine after years of not seeing the beings that basically tortured you, they suddenly reappear and kill your child. This only fueled 87's hatred for our species and he went on a killing spree. However, in the original scene we saw on screen where this didn't happen, his hatred was still very much alive. He saw or heard the very thing his captors left the island with approaching his territory, so he decided to investigate. Grant and the others went off the plane and some of the armed guards were setting up a perimeter. As he was approaching their location with the help of Amanda, because she was for whatever reason shouting through a horn on an island filled with dinosaurs. As he got closer he saw them. What would you know? The very things that held dominion over him were now looking up at him with fear. 2 of the guards managed to book it out of there, but Cooper wasn't so lucky. He fired shots but 87 took it like a champ, eventually catching up and killing him in one bite. In the process, his tail was hit by the plane. It didn't cause any damage to him, but still managed to piss him off even more. So after eating Cooper, he turns his sight to the others on the plane, tearing it in half and killing Nash, where he then started to tear what remained of the aircraft to pieces. He didn't know what parts they were exactly in the plane, but if he kept destroying it bit by bit, he would eventually reach them. After this fails, a chase happens, a more horrifying one than what Zack and his brother went through. Grant and the others managed to enter a part of the jungle that the Spinosaurus couldn't follow. Infuriated, he screamed at them for a while and just decided to go around. The human cast wouldn't have that much luck either, as they were then faced with a young adult T-Rex called Bull. When they were running from him, they found themselves at the feet of 87. Then the iconic fight scene happens, where the Spinosaurus showed why he was the king of Sorna. I never understood the hate for this scene, by the way. Because something managed to kill the Rex fanboys' favorite dinosaur, they hated it. But guess what, all of them still lost considering what the franchise does to T-Rexes in Jurassic World, so yeah. Moving on, the Spinosaurus snaps the Bull's neck effortlessly and the T-Rex's body slumps to the floor, still twitching. After running for miles chasing a plane and people, then fighting the T-Rex, 87 was very tired and needed to rest for a bit, which was why he didn't continue the chase. This wouldn't stop him in the long run though. After he regained energy, he managed to somehow track these people all across the map. And when he found them again, he didn't really behave like a predator, behaving more like someone who had personal beef with you. The dude stood behind Grant and Eric without making a sound for some time, just standing there very upright and letting the phone of Nash ring in his stomach until they saw him. Then he decided to kill the two but just missed. And just when everyone thought they were safe, the guy obliterates a fence meant to keep dinosaurs like him contained. He still would end up on a loss however, as he couldn't get past some building gates somehow. Even as it's pouring, he can still locate exactly where the humans are on the map. This time they were on the river. He pops up right under everyone and attacks the boat. Even as Amanda and the rest try to hide in a massive cage, 87 puts his huge arms to use and tries to fish them out, like you trying to get the last Pringle in the can. Once again, he was so close, yet so far. When an oil fire was set on the water, it created a bar that even he couldn't get through. This was the last chance he had to eliminate Grant and the rest. But this wouldn't be the last time he encountered humans as a whole. As a matter of fact, he would experience a lot more of them, and they would put him through testings that were arguably worse than the ones he would endure in his youth. During the events of Jurassic Park 3, 87 was a little over 8 tons and just 44 feet long. This already made him the largest carnivore on the island, but he wasn't fully grown. Later on in Camp Cretaceous, he gets to be more than 50 feet long and 10 tons. Just before the events of Jurassic World, he was captured by Manticore and carried to their own private island. He was in the same situation yet again, trapped without any say in the matter, yet this would be tame in comparison to what he would endure later on. He was plopped onto the worst possible biome for a semi-aquatic animal, a literal desert. There was little food and few areas with shade. As a matter of fact, the first time we saw him again, he was sleeping out in the open on some rocks. In Camp Cretaceous, Darius was instructed to inject a chip into his brain that would allow for total control of his body. It seemed that the moment Manticore captured him, he let everyone know how he feels about people.
That thing does not like people.
After getting knocked out by some gas, Darius manages to implant the chip, which would end up putting him in some serious danger later on in the series. We know that even more experiments were carried out on him during his stay, as the Spinoceratops hybrids confirms this. So at some point blood was taken from him forcefully to create these weird little things, and who knows what else they did to him to see if his makeup is compatible for creating other hybrids. With the chip in his brain, he would lose whatever control he had over his own life, literally. He would be controlled to hunt down the campers and take part in fights while somewhat being conscious. How could I best explain this? With sleep paralysis. I've never had it and hopefully never will. But in this state you are awake but your body hasn't registered that, so you remain fully conscious of your surroundings, able to see everything, but unable to move a single inch. During this cycle, a good amount of people report seeing monsters and watch whatever it is they're seeing come closer. Something similar happens to the Spinosaurus. He can move but he isn't exactly the one doing it, if you can get that. This chip in his brain sends signals from a remote that makes him go places he doesn't want to, or participate in fights he shouldn't be a part of. Now throughout all of these actions, he can see what's going on. Somewhere in his subconscious, he registers what is happening to his body, but can't do anything against it because of the chip in his brain. Imagine if someone kidnapped, sedated, and then placed an implant in your brain. You awake and you find yourself walking around. You can see what exactly is happening, but your body won't listen to you. The person with the controllers then controls you to walk off a cliff or right into a burning building. Deep in your state of mind, you are screaming and trying your best to move on your own, but it's futile. While 87 is in this state, he truly is put through a lot of dangerous situations. The guy was forced to fight raptors, T-Rexes, and other dinosaurs. In one of the scenes, he gets slapped by a Kentrosaurus which sweeps him off his feet. If it wasn't for his extremely tough skin, the spikes of the Kentro would have gone straight through his head. The T-Rex fight truly was the worst one though. After taking damage from the other dinosaurs, he then fights Big E.T. He wins, but I'm sure during some of that he took damage. And after all of that, he's then put back to work for other tasks without a break. They don't even use him for fighting. Some of the Manticore employees use him as basic transportation when they could have easily just used a car or some other form of locomotion. Eventually, Ben does manage to remove the device on his head and he gains back consciousness. And guess what he does the moment one's in his sight? He bolts towards the guy that was controlling him in the first place. Sadly, this freedom is short-lived as another implant got put into his head and he becomes Manticore's scapegoat. Kenji's father was using him as a heat-seeking missile, making him chase Darius without rest. He regains control of his body moments after, but the very first thing he sees before he could catch himself was an angry T-Rex running straight towards him at full speed. Big E.T. destroyed the remote when she stepped on it, and before Acid 87 could fully react, he was grabbed by the neck and slammed against the tree multiple times. And to top it all off, he was flung onto the floor so hard that he rolled over his sail. Faced with 2 T-Rexes, our boy decided that that was enough and slinked back into the jungle, never to be seen again. It is unclear as to what happens to him after the scene. It's likely that he survived, although in the events of Rebirth, he likely would have died due to old age or any other complications that could have arisen after so much experimentation. I don't want to get my hopes up too much because after the first Jurassic World, so many different people were saying the Spinosaurus is coming back and showing some fake leaking, hinting that he will be back in the next movie. If 87 does appear in Rebirth somehow, he will be very old. But with the 3 Spinosaurus we see in the trailer, the chances of 87 being featured is slim. I mean, if we do see him, it would make sense because that island is where the most dangerous dinosaurs are held, and he is definitely without a doubt one of the most dangerous dinosaurs ever created in the franchise. So that's the entire story of Acid 87, one filled with constant fighting, experimentation and betrayal. Featured is slim. I mean, if we do see him, it would make sense because that island is where the most dangerous dinosaurs are held.
This is a Lofty Mech costume that I designed for Halloween. It's based off the Lofty Mech in my...
And he is definitely without a doubt one of the most dangerous dinosaurs ever created in the franchise. So that's the entire story of Acid 87, one filled with constant fighting, experimentation and betrayal.
We all know birdshot for birds, buckshot for bucks and large game, and 12 gauge slugs if you need to take down an elephant. But this round of 12 gauge makes 0 sense to me, so I need your help figuring out what the heck is the actual tactical use for it. We'll fire this crazy shell out of our Balikli double barrel 12 gauge. This is the Blue Label model, and I honestly think there's no possible tactical use for this in the entire world, so let's see if you guys can find one. On top, it has a single chunk of double bubble, and on the bottom, we have 6 pellets of buckshot. Now, the interesting part about this is if you wanted to hit your target with buckshot, you could go for 9 pellets or even 12 pellets. This is only 6 with a round of bubblegum on top. Don't forget to go to SDI if you're interested in individual online gun courses, which are now offered. Let's fire this thing and see how it recoils. Interestingly, it recoils very light.
Featured is slim. I mean, if we do see him, it would make sense because that island is where the most dangerous dinosaurs are held.
This is a Lofty Mech costume that I designed for Halloween. It's based off the Lofty Mech in my...
And he is definitely without a doubt one of the most dangerous dinosaurs ever created. So that's the entire story of Acid 87, one filled with constant fighting, experimentation and betrayal.
We all know birdshot.